For years, the case of Laura Bennett's murder haunted Dallas County like an unshakable shadow. The sudden disappearance of Charles "Chuck" Harris in 1990 had left detectives and neighbors alike with more questions than answers. Was he a cunning predator who managed to slip away just as investigators closed in? Or was he simply a troubled man who couldn't face the weight of suspicion? Either way, the trail went cold. By the mid-1990s, Laura's name had faded from headlines, but not from the hearts of those who loved her. Her mother, Margaret Bennett, carried the weight every single day. In interviews, she admitted she couldn't walk past her daughter's old bedroom without breaking down. Laura's friends, now raising families of their own, often spoke of her in hushed tones at gatherings. The bright 26-year-old whose life had been stolen too soon. And all the while, Chuck Harris remained a ghost. His truck had been found abandoned off Interstate 35 with his wallet, cigarettes, and a rag stained with blood. But the man himself had vanished. Some swore he'd killed himself. Others whispered darker theories, that he had been helped, hidden, or even silenced by someone who knew too much. By 2003, more than a decade had passed. Technology had changed, and so had policing. The Dallas County Sheriff's Office launched an initiative to revisit unsolved homicides, hoping that advances in forensic science could breathe new life into old files. Among the boxes of forgotten cases was Laura Bennett's. Inside were carefully sealed envelopes of evidence, the bloody rag from Chuck's truck, fibers collected from Laura's living room carpet, and swabs from under her fingernails. In 1989, none of these samples could be tested beyond basic analysis. But now, with DNA profiling at a cutting edge, they represented a second chance. Detective Ray Johnson, who had carried Laura's case from the beginning, was there when the results came back. The bloody rag told the first story. The DNA was a perfect match to Charles Harris. The fibers from Laura's home carried the same profile. Even more chilling, traces under Laura's fingernails, likely from a desperate fight in her final moments, also pointed directly to Chuck. It was a kind of result investigators dream of. Clean, conclusive, undeniable. But the revelations didn't stop there. When the DNA was run through state and national databases, it linked to two other unsolved murders from the late 1980s. Both victims were women who had lived within a 20-mile radius of Laura's neighborhood. Both deaths had eerily similar circumstances. No forced entry, sudden violence, and little evidence left behind. The pattern was unmistakable. Laura's killer wasn't just a neighbor. He was very likely a serial predator who had stalked more victims across North Texas. Still, one problem remained: Chuck Harris himself. Despite the DNA evidence, prosecutors couldn't take the case to trial without a living suspect. And Chuck had been missing for 13 years. Detectives debated their options. Should they declare him dead or continue treating him as a fugitive? That answer came unexpectedly in 2005. A construction crew working near a wooded patch outside Waco stumbled upon skeletal remains. The discovery at first seemed like another unsolved tragedy, but forensic testing soon revealed the identity: Charles Harris. The helpful neighbor who had once lingered near Laura's front porch was now confirmed dead. Based on decomposition and environmental evidence, investigators determined he had likely died in the early 1990s, not long after vanishing. A handgun was never found, but the positioning of the bones and personal items nearby suggested suicide was the most probable explanation. Others weren't so sure. Some officers quietly speculated that Chuck may have been killed, either by someone who knew his secrets, or even by an accomplice who feared exposure. But one fact was no longer in doubt. The fingerprints, the DNA, the violent history, all pointed back to Charles Harris. In 2006, the Dallas County Sheriff's Office held a press conference to officially close Laura Bennett's case. Detective Ray Johnson, now gray but still carrying the same quiet determination, stood before cameras and delivered the words Margaret Bennett had waited to hear for 17 years. Charles Harris can no longer hurt anyone. While we may never see a courtroom trial, the truth has finally been uncovered, and the truth is justice. The announcement made headlines across Texas. For many, the story was a grim reminder of how long justice can take. For Margaret, it was both relief and renewed sorrow. Standing in the front row of the press room, she clutched a framed photograph of her daughter, Laura, smiling in her pastel blouse and high-waist jeans, frozen forever at 26. Through tears, Margaret whispered words that carried across the room. she can finally rest. News of Chuck's confirmed guilt spread quickly back to the quiet Dallas suburb where it all began. For some, it was validation. They had always felt uneasy about Chuck, the way he lingered or asked too many questions about Laura. For others, it was a shock that never sat right. How could a man who fixed their cars, who waved at their kids, have been hiding such darkness? One neighbor confessed to reporters, "We thought we knew him, but the truth is, you never really know what's happening behind closed doors." Children who had grown up on the street, once told never to play outside after Laura's murder, were now adults. Many admitted the case shaped how they viewed safety, trust, even relationships. "We learned early," one said, "that evil doesn't always look like a stranger." With Chuck identified as a killer, Laura's case and the other murders were formally closed. For law enforcement, it marked the end of a haunting chapter. For the families, it brought answers, but not healing. Margaret continued to speak about Laura at community events, warning against ignoring red flags. She kept her daughter's memory alive by funding a scholarship in Laura's name at the local community college. Detective Ray Johnson eventually retired, but he carried Laura's case with him as the one that defined his career. Officer Daniel Green, once a rookie on the scene, often told new recruits the story as a lesson. Never underestimate a neighbor's secrets, and never give up on a cold case. The story of Laura Bennett remains more than just a crime solved. It is a chilling reminder that trust can be misplaced, that danger can live right next door, and that justice, though slow, can still find its way. Though Charles Harris never faced a jury, his guilt was sealed by science and time. His victims, including Laura, are remembered not for the violence they endured, but for the lives they lived, lives cut tragically short by the man hiding in plain sight. For the neighbors who once waved across neatly trimmed lawns, the summer of 1989 will never be forgotten. And for Margaret Bennett, one truth remains unshakable. Her daughter's voice, though silenced, helped expose a killer. And in that truth, Laura finally found justice. Now we ask you again, were you happy justice was served for Laura's death? Let us know in the comment below. If you like the way we create these videos and you want to help bring more cases like this to light, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you once again for watching.